They will see you for inside monitor. And thank you for joining us on the news on NTA International. I am Lami Ali. Shagun Ajayi is the sign language interpreter. Here are the leading stories. ECOWAS and European Union signed agreements on 7 key areas in furtherance of Regional Vision 2050 agenda. Nigeria's military leaders foil alleged attempts by ousted President Mohamed Bazoum to escape. And global tourism leaders converge on Samarkand, Uzbekistan for 23rd General Assembly as tourism and green investment takes center stage. More leaders are expressing hope that despite the current challenging socio-economic situation, Nigerians will soon witness the benefits of measures being taken by the current administration. Former Governor of Nasarawa State, Umaru Al-Makura, who spoke to State House correspondents after meeting the President, acknowledges that the hard decisions taken so far by the President are necessary to redirect the economy and move the country towards greatness.
Renewed hope agenda as something that will change the scheme of things for the better for this country, especially in the areas of security, economic development, and already we can start seeing how sustainable growth and sustainability is being achieved. If you look at the area of security, you see that a lot of efforts are being made to calm the fears of Nigerians in the economic sector too, and the well-being of Nigerians. I think Nigerians should be patient. I'm sure sooner than later, the vision and policies of this administration will rub positively on Nigerians.
Now, President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Mr. Shaka Chira as the substantive Auditor General of the Federation, as recommended by the Federal Civil Service Commission. President Bola Tinubu expects the new Auditor General to justify the confidence reposed in him and to live to the high expectations that Nigerians have concerning the execution of the renewed hope agenda of this administration. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the confirmation of the appointment of Adewale Adeniyi as the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service. The appointment takes effect from 19th October 2023, and his tenure is in accordance with the extant provisions of the Public Service Rules. Now, Niger's military leaders say they have foiled an attempt by ousted President Mohamed Bazoum to escape their custody to Nigeria through the northern parts of Niamey. Charles Alpha reports.
The regime spokesman Amadu Abdramani said Bazoum had already arranged 2 helicopters to fly him outside Niger in the night with his family, cooks and security before that failed. He said the main actors and some of their accomplices have been arrested, while an investigation has also been launched. Abdramani said the escape plan had involved Bazoum at first getting to a hideout on the outskirts of the capital, Niamey. The former leader had then planned to fly out via a helicopter belonging to a foreign power. Since being overthrown, Bazoum had been held at the presidential palace in the capital, Niamey. In September, his lawyers said he filed a legal case with a court of the Economic Community of West African States against those who deposed him, and were also taking his case to the United Nations Human Rights Council. The attempted escape comes as the first group of French troops arrived in neighboring Chad on Thursday after being ordered out by Nigeria's military rulers. Meanwhile, France has continued to support the ousted leader since the coup and is calling for his release. At present, it is not clear where the former president and the rest of the group are being held. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And ECOWAS Regional Stabilization Plan, captured in the Vision 2050 agenda, now has a major driving force: a European Union €212.5 million financial support package. The grant is to give bite to the ECOWAS development plan in 7 core areas. Calvin Iwunwai reports.
Trade, regional integration, affordable and clean energy, sustainable food systems and security are the major areas the funds will be deployed to keep the ECOWAS Vision 2050 on track. This agreement is coming at a time the EU believes that ECOWAS is operating in a politically challenging times as the regional bloc intensify efforts to stabilize democracy in member states with a potential impact on its development plan, and the EU intervention is an exciting one for the ECOWAS Commission President, Omar Alieu Toure.
I want to thank the European Union on behalf of ECOWAS for the strong support you continue to give to us, not only in the area of development, but also in the area of governance. And as we have seen in Niger, your support is important. We want to reiterate the fact that ECOWAS is not having any problem with the people of Niger. It is the military authorities that have flouted the country's constitution and the provisions of ECOWAS instruments with which ECOWAS has issues. But we don't have problem with our brothers and sisters in Niger, neither in Burkina Faso nor in Mali or Guinea.
I have to say that I am looking forward to seeing our partnership flourish. This will allow us to find common solutions and share best practices also together in the future.
The breakdown of the over €200 million grant shows that the regional support program on pastoral economy has the highest allocation of €60 million. Trade facilitation and free movement of persons components also got considerable amounts. In Abuja, Kelvin Iwunwai, NTA News.
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's governing Conservative Party suffered huge losses in 2 by-elections on Friday. The outcome of the by-elections showed that voters in Tamworth and Central England, as well as in Mid-Bedfordshire, north of London, switched from Conservatives to Labour. Again, Charles Alpha reports.
Opposition Labour parties Alistair Strathern and Sarah Edwards won the elections in Mid-Bedfordshire and Tamworth. Labour Party made history by overcoming 24,664 Tory majority to win the seats for the first time. It also pulled out a 23.9% swing to Labour from the Tories in Tamworth.
It's time for change. I will be your voice in Westminster and challenge this government to get a better deal for Tamworth. You have my solemn promise.
Reports say Labour candidate Sarah Edwards won in Tamworth, where Conservatives won by almost 20,000 votes in 2019, and Labour's Alistair Strathern took Mid-Bedfordshire by overturning a 25,000 votes. Opposition Labour Party leader Keir Starmer declared that his party is confident and could compete everywhere and win seats in parts of the country they had never won before.
We know that voters here have voted for us and they put their trust and their confidence in a changed Labour Party, and we will repay them.
This chance to make sure we finally have an MP in Parliament who's going to be on our side. And I think it's fair to say that after today, no one is going to be taking us for granted here in Bedfordshire ever again.
Ahead of UK's general elections, by-elections are significant as they reflect the mood of the electorate. The results will be a welcome boost to Labour. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Global tourism leaders converge on Samarkand, Uzbekistan for the 23rd General Assembly of the organization. The assembly has as its theme tourism and green investments. The Nigerian delegation is led by the Director General of Nigeria Tourism Development Corporation, Folorunsho Koka. He was received on arrival by the Secretary General of the UNWTO, Zurab Pololikashvili. On World Tourism Day, leaders from every global region unite around a shared determination to invest in the sector's growth and transformation. The Nigerian head of delegation noted that this year's edition and its theme open a new vista for Nigeria to key into the global thinking for the sector, as its contribution to some nations' GDP is enormous. On the sidelines, Folorunsho Koka met with ministers from other countries, among them the minister from Saudi Arabia. Now, the Republic of Cuba says it is set to recommit to future relations with Nigeria, particularly in the areas of agriculture, science, technology, and innovation. This was while the Caribbean country commemorated its National Day of Cuban Culture here in Abuja. Abdul Salam Jubril has the details.
Very soft.
It was an evening of merriment as members of the diplomatic community used the opportunity to catch up with one another while celebrating with Cuba. The Caribbean nation prides itself a cultural hub having its roots in African heritage and has shown support for Nigeria and other African nations over the years. Cuba's ambassador to Nigeria, Miriam Morales Palmero, says her country is seeking to deepen bilateral ties with Nigeria and explore strategic opportunities.
We are improved in different areas. We now have a link within the science and technology, in the health sectors, in agriculture, and the biotechnology too. And also we are trying to take link with the Minister of Culture here to Nigeria, because we can to provide the one project, the cultural project for that.
Almost 50% of Cubans are of African descent. Yoruba from the Congo, Efik. In fact, all the major African traditional religions, I would say African religions, are practiced in Cuba. You have Yoruba religions in Cuba, Efik, Anang, Ibibio, Kwo, Ashanti.
With over 11 million inhabitants, Cuba is the second most populous country in the Caribbean after Haiti, has a globally respected health sector, and its economy is dominated by the tourism industry. In Abuja, Abdul Salam Jubril, NTA News.
With the establishment of a presidential committee on fiscal policy and tax reforms in Nigeria, the federal government and individuals are joining forces to combat issues affecting taxation and its full implementation in the country. This came up at a book launch titled The Taxation Pendulum in Abuja. Bosede Abel reports.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, recently tasked Nigeria's government to increase the tax to GDP ratio by 9% in order to boost tax revenues. And with the Federal Inland Revenue Service aiming at increasing Nigeria's tax to gross domestic product ratio from 6.0% to 10.86% through various reforms, it is an indication that this could boost the nation's revenue generation. To increase compliance with tax payment towards achieving success and educating Nigerians on the importance of taxation is the reason for this gathering. The 1,249-page book, which comprises 22 chapters, is a breakdown of all aspects of Nigeria's tax ecosystem.
And Finance Act said, instead of exempting everything, anything above 10 million should be subjected to capital gains tax.
The book also analyzed adjunct areas of importance in relation to mineral resources and administration of certain statutory departments in the mining space.
An encyclopedia of taxation and finance that swings like the pendulum, as described by guests. It is a book that would renew the tax space of the nation.
This has to be part and parcel of us. We don't need someone from Harvard or Cambridge to come and teach us how to rake revenue through taxation. It is homegrown.
I believe federal government can utilize him in the implementation of what they want to do. The time is now for federal government to utilize brains, like they call themselves eggheads.
What this book has been able to do is to be able to ensure that definitive terms as to what the tax laws are well outlined. What are the tax bases? Tax bases are objects of taxation. What are they usually taxing? And then the rate, which is in that for its percentage, they are all well outlined.
It is hoped that with the interpretation of tax laws and other issues, the taxation pendulum, the effect of Financial Act on the Nigerian taxation system, will be a reminder that we capture more individuals into the nation's tax net towards a greater nation. In Abuja, Bosede Ebo continues.
This is the news on NTA International. It's time to take a break. More news when we return. Please stay.
I promise that I shall remain committed and serve faithfully. I also invite all to join this enterprise to make our beloved nation into its better self. We can do it. We must do it. We shall do it.
Thank you. Now, the Forum of the Chief Executive Officers of State Social Health Insurance Agencies has held its third quarterly meeting with how to leverage the National Medicine Supply Initiative of the National Health Insurance Authority, NHIA, topping the agenda. Uche Ugochukwu reports that the roundtable plans to ensure that no one is left behind through peer review and peer training.
Gathered here are key players in the nation's social health insurance space across the 36 states of Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory.
If you say you don't have those drugs,
they meet quarterly to review progress and challenges states encounter in implementing the 4 cardinal programs of equity, basic health care provision fund, formal and informal sector inclusion, which started 5 years ago for greater effectiveness.
Every state is running its program, and we are running not at the same pace. We are at different stages, and I think the initiative is going to assist us in the long run.
Human resource for health is a huge challenge that cuts across the country. One, because of this JAPA syndrome. The environment is not as conducive for health professionals. The pay rates are questionable because of the rate of inflation.
A long-term solution for out-of-stock syndrome in facilities was sought to ensure the attainment of universal health coverage.
Some things you don't read in the textbook. There are some things that are just theoretical, but when you talk about being pragmatic, I think one of the best agencies in Nigeria, with being digitally informed and, peer-to-peer review and feedback that will do, the state social health insurance comes top-notch.
Now, in our various states, we can then enforce the mandatory nature of health insurance, but with a close understanding that we have about 133 million Nigerians who are multidimensionally poor, who may not even be able to pay the premium of our various schemes. So it requires a lot of strategic engagement with every stakeholder to ensure people buy into these various schemes across the country, because that is the way for us to go.
The forum, among other deliberations, resolved to write the National Health Insurance Authority to open the window for all states to attain drug management organization status. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Players in the Nigerian cocoa subsector are working out a partnership with the U.S. Department of Agriculture to enhance production, processing and value addition in a bid to boost earnings and export potential. The collaboration under the Food for Progress Traceability and Resilience in Agriculture brought together key stakeholders who expressed the hope that training in modern production methods and inputs will boost capacity of the cocoa subsector in Nigeria.
That we're also looking at access to the markets, improved access to markets in Europe and the United States in particular, which are increasingly requiring traceability. And so what is traceability? It's the ability to connect the product, whether that's chocolate or biscuits or confectionery, with the actual area it was produced.
If you meet the international standards that are being set up by the European, potentially by all cocoa buyers in the future, you will get a premium on your cocoa. And that premium means that you become a lot richer. And this is something that we've done in other countries. We've done that with sesame in Burkina Faso, where we have, through our interventions, enabled the sesame farmers to earn more money from clean and good grade sesame.
Further down the line, we're working with the Cocoa Research Institute of Agriculture to give them the improved planting material that has been available for a very long time, but it's not getting to the farmers. So those are the two things that we're going to do to improve productivity.
Now, building resilience in all fronts in the wake of adverse environmental impacts occasioned by climate change and unwholesome human activity, players at the 7th edition of an impact assessment meeting say is a veritable solution for sustained and affordable living. Charles Alpha reports.
Industrial and plastic waste, crude oil spillage, and extreme weather events have all impacted the environment in form of land encroachment, desertification, flood, erosion, and loss of biodiversity. These are some of the issues this 7th Impact Assessment Conference seeks to address.
A lot of things are happening with our climate, and we need to start doing something so that we'll build up the resilience. We have adaptation that will help us to cope.
1 minute without the environment, we will all cease to exist. And so we need to continually talk about the changes that are occurring in our environment.
The idea is to bring together policy and decision makers as well as regulators and environmental analysts to find a potent way of providing protection for the environment.
Granted that even the emission coming from us is said to be less than 4%. But the ripple effect is huge.
It is crucial for the Association for Environmental Impact Assessment to critically appraise the emerging challenges that are inherent to be able to balance our actions towards achieving sustainable development.
The stakeholders believe Africa has lots of vegetations to leverage to mitigate extreme weather events, but that this can only be realized through impact assessment. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
A special evaluation team of the United Nations is reviewing all its activities in Nigeria to ascertain if the set goals have been achieved. National Secretariat of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, played host to the delegation with a pledge to sustain the drive for true democracy. David Irie reports.
The team is carrying out an assessment of all programs, activities and offices of the United Nations across the West African sub-region and the Sahel. The aim is to ensure accountability and understand the level of success recorded in the various programs, ranging from peace and security, humanitarian and political development.
What we're interested to learn about through meetings such with you and with other parties and with other stakeholders in the country is to hear your views about the engagements, if you have had any, with UNOWAS, about your views as the United Nations. What should they be supporting on? What should perhaps they do more? What have they done, and what were some of the results of those engagements?
The NNPP is satisfied with the visit and wants all partners in Nigeria's quest for good governance to stand on the path of truth and defense of democracy.
We're ready to partner with you to see that we move our democracy forward until we get to where it's supposed to be. What happened 2023 is also different from 2019, 2015, and we all believe that 2027, the process in which you people are also administering, is very welcome.
The team is expected to visit other stakeholders in the various sectors where UN is having established partnership and activities in Nigeria. In Abuja, David Ire, NTA News.
And national leadership of the Labour Party has raised concern over alleged substitution of lawyers in some of the election cases as the appeal court without due notice to the party. Addressing a press conference in Abuja, National Publicity Secretary of the party, Obiora Ifo, who made reference to the situation in Lagos, where 2 lawyers appeared before the court on behalf of INEC, expressed fears that such drama could lead to delay in matters which are time-bound. Alleging that it is a deliberate attempt to deny the party of justice, the Publicity Secretary also alerted Nigerians of a similar plan by the Lami Papa-led faction to cause confusion in the various courts in order to delay the case.
Because time is of essence. Even though the collaborators achieved their intentions, as the appeal could not be heard that yesterday and was adjourned by the court to enable INEC to put his house in order and determine who of the 2 councils has her authority to represent her in the appeal.
Time now for weather prospects for some cities in Nigeria and some other parts of the world. And that's the news. I am Lami Ali. Shegun Ajayi has been the sign language interpreter. Do have a good weekend.
The day, 7